So today's agenda, we're going to go through the release highlights for version 1.17 of Hummingbot, which just came out yesterday. Then we'll do a demo of the new Hummingbot Dashboard, which incorporates the real-time data collection feature that was introduced in 1.17. Then we'll vote on the Epoch 5 polls, which dictate which sex connectors and which DEX connectors and strategies Hummingbot supports every quarter. And this is a really important aspect of helping us allocate our scarce engineering bandwidth so that we can actually focus on improving Hummingbot. Finally, we do have a new Exchange connector that was just approved, Kujira. This was built by a community team, and they're also going to be maintaining the connector going forward. So Danilo, who's been a longtime member of community, so he's going to demo the Kujira connector for the rest of us. All right, well, let's get started and talk about what's new in 1.17 first. And actually, before I kind of go into all these release notes, I should actually mention that Hummingbot is actually much more than just the single open source Python repository now. And the reason is because, today Hummingbot has grown into a collection of 5 different open source repos that are each kind of working alongside each other to allow people to customize exactly how they deploy the trading bot. For example, if you're a new user running Hummingbot for the first time, you'll probably just use our deploy examples repo and just run the simple Docker compose up command, which will basically launch a single version of Hummingbot and may have a dashboard attached to it that shows you, how that bot is running. On the other hand, a more sophisticated user, like a trading firm, they might also use a different deploy example that will instantiate a more complicated configuration. One that perhaps is launching 10 different instances, a different dashboard, multi-bot performance analysis, and some of those bots might be using the gateway module to connect to DEXs, others are talking to SEXs, and the orchestration module is stitching everything together and allowing the dashboard to see overall performance in real time. So obviously that's 2 very different use cases, but because of how Hummingbot has kind of evolved over time, I think we're actually very capable of serving both. And it's kind of why we're really investing into separating these 5 open source repos and having the community help us maintain. So I hope that just explanation wise that helps explain where we are today. Again, the simplest way to install Hummingbot, if you're just new, is go to the deploy examples repo and just run this Docker compose up command. We've added a few flags so that if you're updating, this will also work, but this should also work for a new user as well. So a couple of things that are actually new in this release. One big one is we've significantly refactored the position executor component that helps you build directional strategies. As an example, let me just show you the code. This is basically a script that creates long and short positions upon a certain signal. This is where you're defining the parameters for the strategy, which exchange you're trading on, how much leverage you may want to employ if you're doing perpetual. And once you've created a position, what are the triple barrier parameters for that position? In other words, how long do you want to run it for? What is your take profit level? And what is your stop loss level? Position executor class is a self-encapsulated piece of logic that basically just manages all that for you. It'll automatically take profit, stop loss, and at the very end of the time limit, if none are hit, close the position. That's how you define how you want the position to be run. And then the only other really factor is really how you open and close positions. And so here, the example is you're reading the RSI, and then if RSI is greater than 70, you're going to sell, which is -1. And then if RSI is less than 30, you're going to buy or return a 1 signal. And that's it. Everything else is really handled by the abstraction in the class. So great job, Fede. This really makes it easy for anyone who's doing directional strategies. The other big change was the addition of real-time data collection. So this has actually been a really popular request, and I think this is going to increase the number of use cases for Hummingbot that people will have out there. So the way this works is now there's 3 parameters in the global config file: market data collection enabled. This turns it on and off. The interval, which basically defines how often you collect, as well as depth. How deep into the order book do you want to take a snapshot? So basically, every interval, the bot will store this data in a new SQLite table, the exchange, trading pair, timestamp, prices and the order book. We've already incorporated this into the new version of the dashboard, so you can actually run a bot and have the dashboard track your data coming from the bot in real time. The dashboard is a new community project. It's probably the long-awaited GUI that everyone in the community has wanted for a long time. For more information, we're actually doing bi-weekly public sprint planning calls for dashboard with a small group of community members. Come next week, same time, same place, next Wednesday, we're gonna have the dashboard kind of public sprint planning meeting. A few more new things for this release. Part of what we're doing right now is we're adding different features to the top exchanges that we support. So for Binance, that's our gold exchange. That's where we added the candles feed and all the other new things recently. And then we recently created bounties to allow community members to replicate those changes for our silver tier connect. Pleased to announce that this release marks those additions of candles feed for Gate Perpetual, as well as KuCoin. Unfortunately, KuCoin Perpetual does not support. I think they don't have the historical K-Lines API right now, but when it does, we can also add candles feed for KuCoin Perpetual as well. In addition, we also added market order support for Gate. I think KuCoin already has it, and there's already bounties out there to add it for Sendex. So this is kind of like how we really do maintenance, where the connector voting system allows us to really move fast and improve the top exchanges, which is the gold one. Later on, we'll create bounties to support the silver, add those features to silver ones, and then the bronze ones are non-supported. Hopefully the community can kind of copy those changes onto the bronze ones. So we did see a new connector in this release as well. Polkadex is one of the top decentralized exchanges in the Polkadot ecosystem. It was built by CoinAlpha, our original parent company, so thank you very much for the contribution. Finally, we also removed some connector strategies related to the last quarter's polls. We have many community members who've contributed documentation changes, bug updates, and fixes, so thank you everyone. All right, so let's move on to the next phase of the call, a demo of the new Hummingbot dashboard. I actually already have this running. Let me show you first the bot, just running a simple paper trading KuCoin bot. The code is simple PMM example, except that I have lowered the spreads by a lot in order to generate lots of trades. Just a dummy example, been running this bot for about probably half an hour now. So it's done 200 trades. But what's cool is that when I ran this, I also am running the latest version of the dashboard. This dashboard is actually tracking the performance of this bot in real time. And the reason it can do that is because we've added the capability in 1.17 to record what's going on with the bot in real time. This is basically showing from the time that I started running the bot, all the trades that my bot has done. I can also see how my inventory has changed, as well as a full list of trades, orders, and basically everything in the orders table. This is very much a beta version. This is why we're having bi-weekly planning groups to flesh out and to iterate on each of kind of like the sample dashboards that we have here. But I think this is already, in my opinion, pretty useful. When you're actually running a bot, a lot of time you're really trying to figure out is like, did I actually buy lower than I sell? Especially since you can drill down onto specific time frames like this. So let's say you ran the bot for a couple of days and you want to see how the bot's doing, like maybe on a subset of that. I think these kind of tools really help you. So try running the dashboard. It's already open source out there. Okay, so next up, we're gonna vote. The Epoch 5 polls were just created every quarter. These are the ones that dictate kind of like how we maintain Hummingbot. Overall, this has been a good change. It's really allowed us to spend a lot less of our time maintaining connectors, adding tests. Before we were testing every connector versus every strategy. Today, we really focus on testing the gold and silver connectors and only running the core strategy on them. So this is actually a really effective process because this is kind of what's allowed us to focus our work on things like dashboard that I think help everyone. The first one I'm going to vote on, these are the proposed governance changes that we would like to propose for Epoch 5. Hummingbot is very much a community code base. We're sustained by and when everyone uses Hummingbot, it generates fee share that kind of supports us. So from our standpoint, we were stewards of the the pool of HBot tokens as well as the Hummingbot code base. So we think there's two changes that would really improve the system. The first one is we want to try to be a bit more formal about requesting a certain amount of HBot that will be allocated toward dev bounties in a certain epoch. So currently we have 5.7 million in HBOT allocated for certain bounties that have already been assigned or submitted. And currently there's 3.7 million in the community rewards wallet that we have. And there's another 300 plus million in the reserve wallet, which is controlled by the foundation multi-sig board of directors. So this time we believe that if we request a certain allocation, it'll be easier to track and easier to allocate what that's for. So we like to request 7 million for Epoch 5 for the next 3 quarters, or for the next 3 months. This is basically topping up for the allocated bounties plus 5 million for any new bounties that may be allocated during Epoch 5. So these new bounties, what should they go to? Bug fixes generally across the board, improvements to the gold and silver connectors, improvements to the core strategies, and also projects like Dashboard. The second thing we want to propose is a new connector proposal type. So currently the way that connectors get into the code base is that they're submitted via pull request proposal, just like any other pull request, which only requires 1 HBOT minimum balance to create. However, every connector needs at least 100,000 HBOT every quarter in terms of total votes to actually get into the code base. Because of the work entailed in actually reviewing connectors, we think that there should be a higher level of HBOT required. Explain a bit more. We do a lot of testing on connectors. When a connector adds things to the code base, it may cause issues for other connectors. As an example, we actually spent a bunch of time recently on the Foxbit connector because we're trying to upgrade Hummingbot from Python 3.8 to 3.10, which should make it faster and kind of fits the latest versions of Anaconda. But because of certain tests and things in the code in the Foxbit connector, which was something that someone from the community added, now we have to fix that issue before we can make the upgrade. So that's why that's just one example of where connectors actually do impose a cost that is realized by everyone using Hummingbot. And so having a higher threshold to add a connector into the code base, we think would make sense. So yeah, obviously I'm for this one. For those of you who are new to voting, it's 1 token, 1 vote, done by a snapshot. Gas is it's gasless. Let's go through the other 3 polls, and I'll basically place my votes and explain my rationale for voting as well. This one is the sex connectors poll. So we divide connectors into 2, mainly because Hummingbot's we want to support both sexes and dexes. Sexes are actually one of the main ways to sustain us. So, vote for the exchanges are actually paying us fee share. So that's typically related to who's actually using Hummingbot, where are people using Hummingbot. And so essentially over the last couple of years of running Hummingbot Foundation, we've realized that the users who are using Hummingbot the most and where they're running their bots, those are the exchanges where we're seeing the volume. So for example, this is also why we maintain this public dashboard that shows you the reported volumes from the aggregate of bots running. So Binance tends to be some of the top exchanges people run the bots on, and then we have some small exchanges as well, but KuCoin, I think, and Gate are the other large ones. And not surprisingly, if you look at our fee share numbers, which I just shared on the Discord thread, Binance, Ascendex, Gate, and KuCoin are our top exchanges in terms of fee share. I'm just going to vote for those because, in my opinion, the fewer exchanges that Hummingbot officially supports, the easier it is for us to actually serve our overall user base. I would basically vote for Binance, Ascendex, KuCoin, Gate, Huobi, and OKX because those exchanges where we have active fee share agreements and we see revenues actually. Okay, for the DEX poll, in the last quarter, Uniswap was gold, DYDX, QuickSwap, and PancakeSwap were silver. I'm going to try to use more data to drive my decision here. To me, when I look at the reported volumes dashboard, to me, usage should be what was driving, my vote, because none of the DEXs really pay us. but we do add dexes because we feel like it's an important aspect of supporting the community. The top dex by volume is actually DYDX. The number two would actually be Dexalot. But Dexalot and DYDX have done 2+ million in volume across the board. This is also likely because Dexalot has some D-miner campaigns running from our parent company CoinAlpha. And then after that, kind of going by volume, I would actually pick DYDX. I think in terms of the other connectors that people are using a lot, I would say it seems like Dexalot they're using, and then Uniswap, and I do see kind of Pancake there as well. To be honest, I think the Dex side of the equation Hummingbot has always lagged the centralized side because it's a lot harder to run bots on Dex. It's a lot more complicated. But to me, I would say the increase in volume we're seeing on some of our order book Dex connectors is quite interesting. And so that's why I think more of the order book connectors should be gold and silver. So finally, the last one that we have is the core strategies poll. It dictates which of our strategies we apply when testing connectors. This one I think is pretty simple. I would say I think the three core strategies we have right now, which is AMM ARB, cross exchange, and pre-market making, are the right ones. And to be honest, for us, like we've actually been really pushing users to create scripts instead of strategies because we found that those who customize and kind of like really tune their own strategies tend to have the most success. However, I do think it's important to have a few base strategy templates in the repository because it helps new users understand how to run Hummingbot. Okay, those are the three polls. We used to do a priority issues poll, but we were the only ones nominating issues. So if you want to kind of like certain issues or certain pull requests that you want us to fix, you can always reach out to us on Discord, or if there's also the pull request proposal method if you want a more formal way of getting your changes into the code base. But because of lack of kind of like community participation in that poll, I think we'll just focus on these three polls on a quarterly basis going forward and not do the monthly priority issues poll anymore. But overall, governance is a really important aspect of doing this, of maintaining Hummingbot. So please, if you have HBot, please get the vote out. Thank you. I think we're done with this part. We're ready to hand off the call to and bring on board the stage Danilo from the community who built Kujira connector.
Hello, Mike. Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's start our demonstration. As Mike introduced the subject, we are be bringing like Kujira, and we created this connector. So we were working this project for some time now, and we are very glad to be presenting you this new connector to the Hummingbot community, and also this possibility to the Kujira community about market making with Hummingbot. First of all, just talking just a little bit about myself. So I'm a senior software engineer. I have 10+ years of experience in the field, and I'm also CEO of the Fantastic Lab. We are focused on blockchain, smart contracts, machine learning, Web3, high frequency trading, and the code we are working with Hummingbot for I think at least 1 year very deeply. And we also work with decentralized autonomous organization aspects and consulting. We also have our partner Roboter. Let's talk just a little bit about Kujira. A very vibrant and engaged community. If you joined and if you are not that yet, they have this platform here that you can create your orders, see the graphs, and see the filled orders, market limit. Yeah, they have this like a very beautiful dashboard here that you can swap tokens. You can like do cross-bridging operations here as well from different chains if you need. They have like the explorer of them, which we call it Finder. And they actually have more tools. As you can see, this Orc and Fin and Bow, and all of them is like the same standard. So very well designed, very beautiful, and actually very powerful. And for the people from the Kujira community that doesn't know too much about Hummingbot yet, so we also have an awesome community here in Hummingbot. It's very active. Like you're saying from Mike here, we vote for all of the things. The community is engaged. You can create pull request proposals, also government's proposals. So it's like very community engaged. The source is open source. Work with high frequency trading with Hummingbot, specialized in market making and arbitrage strategies. Hummingbot gets built in with a lot of scripts and strategies ready to use. A lot of them are so cool, and you definitely need to check it out. And we have Hummingbot in two different structures, like two main repositories. We call it client and the gateway. The gateway is the one responsible for like connecting with decentralized exchanges or with the other, what we call it, connectors. The gateway will be exposing this API. But of course, placing an order or canceling an order, this is kind of like sensitive thing. We need to use certificates for that. And we have then the client that will be communicating with the gateway in a very secure manner using the certificates. And the gateway is mostly written in TypeScript and the client mostly written in Python. And inside of the client, you can operate your bot, you can import your strategy, start and stop it. And it's like Hummingbot is battle tested. It's been used for a very long time with a lot of people. And then I would like to show you very briefly our quick start guide. We created this repository here. So we are going to send a message after our presentation. So you guys can like check this out as well. I just like to make your life very easy. I'm going to present now our demo. The first thing is client, create client.sh. I'm going to call this customize one just to show you those options. Just to show you how is our repository. It's very simple. You have a client, which this script is to help you to create the client, but actually you don't need it if you already know Hummingbot and you can create the client from the other sources. And actually we recommend that this one is just to make sure have you get started like from now if you want, right? And also this one, it's like to create the gateway and the Docker file for it as well. And definitely you can check the code so you can get used to it and also see what it's doing. And okay, so let me proceed. This is like the image that I would like to use. Which Hummingbot version? I would like to use the latest one. By default, we are using the shared folder. Do you want to proceed? Okay, so in about some few seconds, we might see the screen. Yeah, that it is. We then create a password. Now that it is, we are inside of the client, but our gateway is still offline, so we still need to create our gateway. Use that. And here I'm going to use this default image. The gateway expose a port for us to communicate. It's usually 15888. So I'm going to use the default. And now I need to pass like a certificate here. But I need to generate the certificates first. So I'm going to call here gateway, generate cert. I'm going to put the passphrase. I'm also choosing a simple one. And then after that, the client saved the certificates and we ask it to save in this folder. And as you can see, we have the certificates here now. And I need to push the same passphrase that I used there when generating the certificates, which is different from the password to enter inside of Hummingbot. And I should see that the gateway will be up and running. The gateway that was offline is now online. I can also test it with gateway test connection, for example. And the next step is we need to configure the wallet, the Kujira wallet. So let's do that. Gateway, connect, Kujira. Now I need to choose the chain. We only have this one. Okay. I would like to use testnet for the demonstration. And if I use the default none here, we are going to automatically choose the best RPC for you, but you can also like define a specific RPC. And for the purpose of this demonstration, we asked these guys here from Pokashu and also the people from Kujira to help with this one. So I'm going to use the specific one. Okay, I'm going to just wait a little bit so the gateway is like refreshing. Perfect, just wait. Now the gateway is now online again. And now I can get the mnemonic, which is the private key for Kujira. So I'm going to copy it here. If you don't know how to do that, in Kujira, we don't use MetaMask or Fento. We usually use Kepler, but there are some other ones that you can use as well. And if you are here, for example, you can go to inside of your wallet, and then you can go to the view recovery phase, and you can grab your mnemonic there, which will be your private one, private key. And after that, you can place and paste it here. As you can see, we can place it securely. And in Kujira, it's possible to have multiple accounts, but it's not that common. So if you are unsure, you can just put 0 here as well. And just wait a little bit. We are going, okay, so now we were able from the mnemonic and the account number to fetch here the public key of ours. And I can show you here, for example, from what I have in my wallet, I have 10,000 USK, about 1,000 Kuji, and 10,000 demo. So if I call Hummingbot balance command now, I should be able to see the same thing. So let's see. And as you can see, it works here. And now the next step is for you to get started really quickly. We also included here in our quick start, we have here in conf strategies, and we have this PMM strategy. And so we are going to import this one, import Kujira PMM strategy example. Now we can hit start to start market making. But before that, show you what we have here actually in the market. So I'm going to use this Kuji demo market for this demonstration. After hitting start, something should start happening. Yeah, so we are restarting. So actually initializing, we are canceling the orders there that are open. We are settling the funds. I am going to explain a bit later. And after all of the retrieving the information from the market, the balances, and the other things. And let's see, oh, that it is. So we can see that here in Kujira, we are market making now. This is kind of ends our demonstration, but one thing that I would like to show is when we stop, we try to gracefully stop. So please just be a little bit patient. We are canceling the orders, selling the market funds, and withdrawing the funds to your main wallet here. And at the end, we are going to have like this end one. It's like finish it now. A special thanks to the Kujira community that's attending here. So thanks a lot to the Hummingbot community that's attending here as well. Thanks a lot too. Also, I would like to thank the Dove and Hans from Kujira. So we were working in this project for about 15 weeks. So it was a great journey, a lot of cool things happening, a lot of difficulties as well. But we are now delivering this interesting product to you. And also, I'd like to thank like Mike Feng for inviting us, Carlito for opening the space, Juan, that is from the board of directors, and Fede, that was also always supporting us to get everything like ready and done. And Mike Hevkevitz, our partner from Roboter AI. So you probably are going to hear more about us guys in the future because we might be coming with more strategies, scripts, also with some features for Hummingbot as well, and maybe some other new connectors too.
Thank you very much, Danilo. Yeah, that's a great presentation. Actually, I did have a couple questions. Actually, I think some people in the community had about Kujira. So I think I asked a question about gas. I think someone said basically I asked like, does it cost gas when you cancel an order on Kujira? And apparently the answer is yes. So this actually, I would say my recommendation here would be actually to start looking at custom scripts or strategies that take into account this factor. So like as some history here, we've actually integrated with a bunch of dexes that have this feature, going back as far back as Radar Relay, a few years ago. And because Radar Relay had this feature where it was like you had to pay gas to cancel, it makes a lot of market making strategies not work, even ones like pure market making. When you're kind of replacing orders every 30 seconds, let's say, and even if there's like a small cost to cancel each one, it's going to make your strategy not viable, over like a week long period. Imagine like paying 1 cent every 30 seconds. It almost makes any marketing strategy just not work. So the way that we got around this with kind of Radar Relay and some of the initial connectors was having a lot longer kind of like cancellation times. So it's only if the spread was like reach a certain point do you cancel. You don't cancel all the time. That was one. And the other one was there were specific order types that Radar Relay offered that allow orders to expire essentially without being canceled. And so we would basically, I think one of the original strategies we had in Hummingbot would take advantage of expirations, and only cancel when it was like completely uneconomical. So I think actually I would say that's why I think we want to encourage people like you who've built these DEX connectors to essentially create strategies that are taking into account the specific features of the DEX, because I think that's actually what people need to actually reduce a barrier of entry and start market making on the DEXs. Because currently, I think that if the user just takes a pure market making strategy and runs on a Kujira, they're probably going to lose money, and obviously none of us want that.
Yes, definitely. I think this is a very good feedback. So I cannot really say if we run for a very long time. I know that the Kujira fees are very low, but anyway, I think it's important to check the impact for, let's say, that you keep your bot running for 1 month or something like it. How much is going to cost in the end?
Yeah, I would say just
I don't have
yeah.
this information, but I can check it out.
So I would say, if you talk to any professional market maker, and you tell them they're going to be canceled, they're incur costs to cancel orders, you should see how they respond. Because this is actually honestly the main reason why Radar Relay never took off, because they couldn't attract real market makers that actually wanted to pay, fees to cancel. So that's actually why we look at DYDX today. DYDX, they basically absorb the fees themselves because they're running their own app chain on Cosmos or something like that. But I think it's one factor that I think it's order book DEXs should really look at. I think this is actually an opportunity as well, because it's like, because the off the shelf strategies don't work. I think there's kind of like this is when I think a customization and having like kind of something that actually allows. Because I think exchanges to me are always they're like three-sided marketplaces. You need the traders, you need the market makers, and then you also need like the token projects who want to create a new token and put it on your exchange. So I think just make anything that makes it easier for especially the market makers to come and run a bot and not get killed is going to be helpful. Well, thanks everyone. If you're here next Wednesday, same time, we're doing the dashboard public sprint planning meeting. And then we'll have the another how-to call another Wednesday after that. So see you next time, and keep on running bots.